Now it's working. What the? I bought a 5G modem specifically for this. I don't know if anyone in the States has this problem or empathizes with this at all, but is your internet crashing constantly?
No,
No, you guys are just like, yeah,
I
everything's
have
sweet,
no,
everything's
no,
fine.
no. I mean, I have noticed that I need to restart it more often since we're home more and we're gobbling up more
You guys
internet
are
and it's
you
in
got an
use more
unlimited
often.
plan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. See, I went and got myself the most expensive. Literally, I told you I got the last 5G modem in New South Wales, the
yeah,
best one, and that's what just crashed, and that's why I'm pissed because I'm like, I thought I just paid a shitload of money for this thing just so that I could do my
and it took a
fucking
dump.
job, and it's just like, yeah, no, and it's like when someone if you're about to get laid and then someone just smacks your dick and goes, nah, just as hard as they
Uh,
can, and you're like, I thought something good was about to happen, and now everything
I
stings.
thought something good was gonna about to happen, and now I
Now
got
it
my
just
penis
stings.
whacked.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So, what the fuck is going on in the music business at the moment? Is there anything that people can talk about? I was looking, and the only thing that I could find, dude, is that there's like the one thing in Australia. Tell me if this happened in the States. Have they done a kumbaya stream concert with people where they all stream a few songs from their house and it's to raise money for COVID-19? Have they done that in the
Yeah,
States?
they had this thing. I think it was last. God, when was it? It was on every channel, and it wasn't just musicians. It was all
Celebrities.
celebrities in general, like performing and doing things and talking about raising money and stuff like that. And like Saturday Night Live, they've done it's called SNL at home now or at
Oh,
home or
Jesus.
it's something like that where it's truly they're doing full Saturday Night Live episodes from their houses.
How? How are they doing this? How are they? How?
They've
I got to watch
they've
that.
done a pretty good job of kind of mocking the people that are trying to stream. Like they're finding ways to poke fun at it without being crass, I guess, and it's
Okay.
it's pretty entertaining.
Okay, I got to check that shit out then. But is any of it cool? Because the one they did in Australia was fucking lame. It was
Was
lame.
it really?
It was and it's no disrespect to the bands. I think there are certain bands that are doing it. There are certain bands that are doing it that are not cool, but there are other people who do it that are cool, and they're doing versions of their songs, and it's like, I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it. It's like if you're gonna do a live video or something from your house, then sing it live and do it and record it and sing it. Like, or maybe it's
Yeah,
just because that's what I do. But what they've done is they pre-record their whole song, they put up their iPhone, and then they mime
and then they make it
themselves.
look like
They
they're
mime
doing it
themselves
live.
singing along to it, and I'm like, this is like the worst home movie ever. And it sounds good because you spent a million years producing it, but it doesn't sound real. And then there was one with this band, his name I forget. Singers they're doing his thing, and it's like, and it's like the Brady Bunch. It's like this Brady Bunch thing where you have all the screens. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna do the video for Isolated, and I may use that Brady Bunch theme just to poke fun at it because like it's
Hmm.
all you see now. And the guy's there, and then there's like two screens, one here and one here on the left, on top of each other, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's going to come up there. Probably the other two
Yeah.
band members, right? And then lo and behold, they pop up as soon as their part comes in, and the guitar player is on the top right hand corner, looking so fucking uninterested. And he's because he's jangling along, knowing full well that it's not recording. He's just sitting there like, this is, I'm just turning my iPhone on and I'm just miming. And
Making it
like,
look like he's playing.
and
Yeah.
he's like, he's so uninterested. And then when it's done, I swear to God, when it was done, he finished and he just went like this. He finished the song, and the other guys are still there doing their like singing the end of the song, and they're like, I care and I mean this and all that shit. And the other guitar player just finishes and he goes, and
Ah!
and like he goes, smile, and then what do I do now? Oh, I should. And then he just fucking
I need to turn
smashes
it
record,
off.
and they left it in. Like you would think that they're gonna send these separate pieces of video to someone, and they're gonna edit it together and then send it off
Mhm.
to the TV station, and they left that in. Did they think that because it wasn't funny? It wasn't like, haha, I was my. It was
Like it was
really,
like uncomfortable. Like,
it
he
was
really didn't
painful.
want to
It
do
was
that.
really like, I'm a fucking guitar player. I do not record myself miming to a song from like he was like, I do not embrace this situation whatsoever. I have been forced into this by the rest of the band. I consider this to be lame, and I'm going to let everyone know in a single look and a fucking punch of my finger. And he made it clear. He was like, this is not cool. The funny thing is that you can make it cool. You can make streaming or video, whatever you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can make anything cool if it's authentic. if you just
Hmm.
be chill and authentic and say, this is what it is. And I think one of the things that I've found really frustrating with streaming, and it really separates the fucking boys from the men, doesn't it? When you see like these big rock stars, like anyone who's got like $1 million house and they're doing it from their kitchen and they're like, "Hi, it's me. I'm home, and I'm home just like you, and I guess we're all in this together." And then, oh wait, the screen froze. Is someone calling? Is someone calling me? And they're like, we have to cut. We have to cut. I think I'm not. And they're like, and they don't know what the fuck to do. And that's why
Hmm.
when we like, I stopped recording when my shit went down just because I had to reset my stuff. But if our stuff cuts out, or like when the outtakes happen, like you just got to put all that shit up and you got to figure out how
Hmm.
to make it work for you because everyone's in the same boat. But when you see a massive movie star or a massive rock star stuttering and fumbling around, it really brings it down to earth and be like, oh, they're not as cool as their videos, man. They're not as
They're
like,
just like
they're just
us.
like us. They're just like us. And like, I'm starting to get, it's kind of interesting. I'm starting to sort of, like, how much have you watched Twitch? Have you watched anything on Twitch?
Not really.
No,
No.
neither have I, right? And I started to watch it and process why people are digging this thing. And I swear to God, I felt like I felt a little bit stupid, and I also felt a little eye open, right? A little bit of a fucking lifting of the veil because I was watching a guy whose name I forget right now, and plays guitar and sings and writes songs live every like
Hmm.
5 days a week. And I was there, and I was like, "Oh, hey, man!" And I asked him a question on the chat, and I asked him like, "Oh, hey, how did you plug in this piece of equipment?" Because I was having a problem. And he was like, "Oh, hey, at Shim, thanks for joining us, man. Yeah." And da da da. And the moment he said my name, I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like he actually, like, it was weird. It was weird. It wasn't like So we have a question from someone. I've just been told that it was really like it was like we were hanging out. It was really like, "Oh, hey,
Hmm.
man, yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out at the stream. Yeah, I plug it in through the second channel instead of the whatever the fuck." And he's like, I asked him a couple of questions and we spoke for like 1 minute on the stream. And I was like, oh, this is why people are into it because it's kind of like you're hanging out.
It's
And
the
if you're,
interaction.
yeah, and if you're running a cool stream and if you're looking at the chat room and you're conversing with people, it makes them feel like they're a part of it. And I didn't,
Hmm.
I remember thinking when I was putting ideas together and now I understand why people are digging the lockdown sessions because I'm reading back their texts to them and they're like, oh yeah, he heard me and it's like we're talking and I remember thinking it's not like we're hanging out. It's going to be a massive disconnect. It's going to be a big bridge that I'm going to have to cross to try to connect with my fans and it's not there's no bridge at all. It's fucking right. It's
Hmm.
boom, it's right there. I didn't think about it until I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is dope. This is what like if you get into it, I'm telling you dude, like this week, you should go on Twitch for like half an hour go to the browse section because it makes sense that most people think, oh, it's video games, right? And if you're not into the video game that the guy or girl is playing, or if you're not into video games, you switch off. But you can find people are fucking talking about anything now on that platform. And it's
Hmm.
24 hours a day. And the thing that I love about it is that, like, for example, uh, Facebook is like it's the social media version of what the American government is becoming. It is like you can't say this, you can't do that, even though you totally can. You have your First and Second Amendment rights, and you can say and do and have what you want technically. But if you do those things, we're going to come for you, and we're going to shut you down, and we're going to do what we can to stop that type of behavior. And
Hmm.
so on Facebook, you can't do many things. And if you do those things, Facebook will say, okay, you're allowed to do that, but we're going to stop promoting you and we're going to make sure that your link doesn't go out very far to your followers. And there's all these things in there to stop. Like if you put a link into another platform, they just squash it down. No one finds your video,
Hmm.
right? So, but on Twitch, fucking all bets are off. They're smoking weed, they're drinking booze, they're watching fucking like R-rated movies and commenting on it. They're talking shit. They're like, it's like you're hanging out in your friend's basement, like, and you can say all the shit. It's like a little club, right? It's like a little
Hmm.
cool club. And and when I started to find this stuff, like you can go and find there's some random fucking shit. This is the funny thing, right? There are some places where you look at it and you go, oh, this is cool. This is like we're hanging out, and people have structured interesting hangouts and shows and streams. And there are others where you're like, this is the beginning of the end. I
Hmm.
found a guy. There's one guy who will come up the moment that you type in music. Like there's a whole section for music and performing arts. There's a guy. There's a guy who plays, and he looks like he's never left his mum's bedroom. Like he's
Yeah.
lived with his mum, and his bedroom's next to his mum's, and he's like 40, and he's never moved out of home. And he plays the piano accordion very well, and he's behind a green. He's in front of a green screen, and the green screen is a picture of Hawaii. And he just sits there and he plays piano accordion for 8 hours a day. Like he just plays. And there's like 40 to 80 people at any given time that are watching him. And I go in and I check it out. Every time I see him through the screen, I go in to check it out just to see if anything's changed, and
Hmm.
nothing
It's
changes.
just
And
the
I'm
same
like,
thing.
there was one guy, my favorite though. There was one. It was one fuck. This is why, like, I totally get why I can't wait to see the SNL stuff where they make fun of this shit, because some streams are dope when they structure it like it's a rock and roll show or a TV show or a live thing. It's really fucking cool. And then you see some people that are just like, they buy a green screen and a camera, and there's one guy who must have been 60 years old, and he's fucking spray tanned, hair slicked back. He's a Guido. He's got the fucking shirt open and like all the chains, and he just dances. He just dances. He puts the
That's
thing on,
it.
and he's like, "Hey, the real brand DeLorean, thanks for coming and hanging out. This one's for you." And he and he just goes, and and he starts dancing, and he dances for the whole song. The shot doesn't move, nothing changes. There's lights going on. He's just there like, "Are you happy, Brandon? Cause I'm happy. Everybody happy, having a good time." And it's like 3.5 minutes fucking, and then he goes, "Okay, cool. And Shim more at Shim. This one's for you." Click. Same thing, same fucking thing the whole time. He just does it. I'm like, and people are watching. He'll not a lot, man, not a lot, but he'll have like between 3 and 10 people watching, and I think
Oh
they're
my
watching
God.
like it's a fucking train wreck. Like, when is this guy gonna, like, you think waiting
Like
for him
you
to have
can't
an,
turn away.
yeah,
Like,
he's gonna have a
is this
heart
just going to
attack.
keep happening?
I'm like, it is some funny shit. But I'm starting to get really into it because I think that's one of the things that's going to be, because your lockdown is, you're fucked. You guys are like, you're done for the year. You are done for the year. They are opening up states. It's going to spike. They're going to close them down
Yep.
again. Some other fucking state in a month after that is going to have, like, the economy is going to be so dire. They're going to say we have to open up the state to let people work. Then that one's going to spike. Then it's going to spread around the states around that, and it's just going to fucking bounce around for a year. And I
Yep.
remember I saw yesterday the dude a month ago they said it's going to be a year to a year and a half before they can find a vaccine, which I think is fucking bullshit. But even if
If
but
they
if that's
can,
true,
that's the thing. If they can,
yeah,
like they may never even find one, because I've heard that like Disneyland, they've talked about Disneyland not even opening until January 1st of 2021. Is that's probably the optimistic plan
yeah,
at this point. And that's where we're at, man. I mean, it's, here in El Paso, our numbers continue to go up because people don't abide by
the
the
rules,
guidelines.
right?
Yeah, and because here in the States is you have the grocery stores. They have, it's basically one-way lanes now, where you'll see a sign and it's on the floor, and even there's even somewhere there's an actual stop sign at the end of the aisle, like, don't go down the aisle this way, go down that other aisle and loop back around, because we don't want people kind of crisscrossing
Right.
like in the aisle. There's not enough room for that, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And we have the president telling people to inject themselves with disinfectant, which
Okay,
was
what
which
did
is
that?
awesome.
Right, we haven't talked since that one came up, have we? What did you
God.
think when you saw that one? I mean, seriously, because okay, everyone's had a slightly different reaction to that because everyone's on the same page. We're numb to the stupid shit that he says, and then he comes out and says something that is that insane, because
Mhm.
that's borderline malicious. That's almost like he was back there saying, like, let's just say this and see how many stupid people we can kill in a swift stroke, because those stupid people are draining the economy anyway. Or is he
Well,
just like, I just think I'm going to say something, and little fucking Donald in his head didn't say, don't say that. Don't say
yeah,
that.
I
That's
don't, I
stupid.
don't, I don't think. I think first, I don't think he's ever really had a filter to begin with, and it's to the point now where I don't think that he even cares when it comes to the things that he says, the things that he blurts out
Right.
uh, randomly.
Yeah.
And I mean, we covered this on the air, and we covered it multiple different times, and it's the way that he phrased it was really poor. Did he flat out tell people, "Hey, go inject disinfectant into your veins"? No, but it was close enough that there's enough people out there that might take that seriously, or might actually think, "Hey, I'm going to get out ahead of this thing because the president is saying this." And the biggest thing that we're dealing with right now is we have a guy like him who continually starts to disagree with doctors and scientists and people who actually know things. And then he says things like this, and the people that listen to him for everything else, it's like, dude, like, just I've become numb to it, to the point. Like, I'm going
I
to still follow it. I got to for the news, but it's just, it's like, I'm like, I don't care.
I've had a lot of people that I've read comments from that have switched over and said, like, and this is weird, this is the weird thing, that have actually said, I have found my inner peace with the situation because I finally accepted the fact that he's mentally ill. Rather
I've heard
than
a few people say that too. Yeah.
rather than saying like, oh, when's it gonna stop? They're like, I cannot take this shit anymore. I just have to accept the fact that he's in the White House. I don't know what the next election is going to be, but for the rest of the year, he is there. This is what it's like, and he is mentally ill. And rather than being outraged, I'm going to pity him. And they do
Mhm.
that because they can't fucking take it anymore. They don't want to switch off from the information. They don't want to say, I'm going to totally turn a blind eye to reality.
It's a way to distance yourself from it.
It's a way to cope, man. It's like, well, here's the
Mhm.
thing though, they don't want to distance themselves. They don't want to be those people that say like, all right, it's too much noise. I'm just gonna fucking eat my Cheerios, drink my vodka,
Well,
and watch
not
Netflix.
distance in the sense that I'm not going to pay attention to it.
Right.
Distance themselves in the sense that I'm
Emotionally
not going to be as
distance.
invested
Yeah.
in it, and I'm not going to take it. Like, I'm willing to take it with a grain of salt. Like,
Yeah.
it's not
But that's
the
isn't
end
that
all be.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like you're taking your president's words with a grain of salt, where those should be the words that you're able to take
Yes.
seriously. And you're able to say, I can live my life according to the things that our president says because he's the man in charge. And now it's like I'm like, you would think you would like if it was any other country, if the prime minister of Australia said that, he'd be out. He would be
Hmm.
out. He would have been out a while ago. But if it was France, people would riot. People would say, this
Hmm.
motherfucker's trying to kill us. We don't know what's going on behind those doors, but we know you're trying to kill us, so get the fuck out of the White House. They would riot and fucking drag him out because France is badass when it comes to the way the political structure and the social structure. They're like, they don't put up with any shit. They'll shut down the country themselves if they don't like the way the government's being run, because their country is one country that actually lives and dies by the mentality of the government works for the people. It's
Hmm.
not the
Not the
other
other way
way
around.
around. And they make the government work for the people, and the people are raised in a way where they've been trained by society and their parents and their schools and everyone that they go, your government works for you, you have value, you are not a fucking number, and you should pay attention to what your government's doing, because it's basically like the French society is a business and the government is your employee. You pay your taxes to pay them to take care of shit, and if they stop taking care of shit, you take care of business. And that's how they automatically organize it appropriately. And America's switched the other way around, where they're like, we just believe that this is how you shrug. You can't help but
Hmm.
shrug. Everyone who I've spoke to, when they're like, hey, so your president told people to sort of told people to inject disinfectant into their bloodstream, and Americans go,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like yeah, and then that's
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's what
your
he said.
face. It's
He
like
did.
it's like having
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
dumb retarded brother that just got out of prison. It's like, hey, your brother just told me to go and fucking rape a mole rat, and it's like, yeah, just don't listen, just whatever. You want a beer?
You just got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, just
Well,
like,
fortunately, though,
don't
like,
listen
at
to
least
him.
for us, this past week here in the States, we've had at least a couple of sports things that have been able to
What sort of
sort of
stuff? I haven't heard about this. What do
take our attention away. Well, the big one, the actual like live sporting event, was the NFL draft, which was it's turned into it's a massive 3 day thing here
you?
now. And it was supposed to be in Las Vegas because the Oakland Raiders are making the move to Las Vegas next year. It's going to be their first year in Las Vegas, and it was going to be this whole big thing. But ultimately, it ended up being the commissioner in his basement announcing the draft picks, and it was uh, behind him. They had a big TV screen where it was like a big Zoom meeting,
Right.
and it was all fans from so like if it was the number one pick and the Cincinnati Bengals were picking, it was all Cincinnati Bengals fans
Right.
that are in that meeting behind him and stuff like that. So that, at least for the past 3 days, has been something that's taken our attention. And then there was a big documentary. It's a 10-part documentary called The Last Dance, and it's on
Oh
ESPN,
yeah.
and it's all about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And the first two parts aired last Sunday. Parts 3 and 4 aired tonight, and it is the goods, man. It brings back all of just that nostalgic feeling from the 90s with Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. Because this is when I was heavily invested in the NBA, man. I watched it nonstop when I was younger, and seeing some of these stories now, and it's got Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. The next part coming up is really heavily on Dennis Rodman during that season. Basically said, "I need a vacation. Let me take a long weekend in Vegas." During the middle of the season, which is completely unheard of, and he did it.
Right.
So we get that. So I get one of the things I wanted to ask you is how big was Jordan down
Oh, he was
there, if
big.
at all?
He was
Did
big.
he make it
Oh yeah.
at the time when he was playing?
Yeah. I got into baseball for a period. I think it was about a year, and I collected the cards, and I joined a little baseball league thing, like little league baseball, basketball. Sorry.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, no,
dude,
little league baseball, but whatever they call the league for kids, that's basketball. That's not little league. But anyway, I was into that, and yeah, and I used to to figure out who the I didn't really follow the players. It was more like watching them. I used to watch the highlights. I didn't watch the games because I didn't know
Mhm,
where to find the games. They didn't really, because Australia didn't have a sports channel, right? We didn't
mhm,
even have cable really when I was a kid. We had like 5 channels and VCRs, right? Fuck, we're
mhm.
sounding old. And and so I would watch the highlights. I'd buy the cards and I'd join the team and I'd get into it. And I think that like it was like there were superheroes, right? That's kind of the vibe. Bless you. Here comes another one.
Bless me. Sorry.
God
Yeah, I
bless
got a
you.
little dust in here. No,
Yeah.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Keep going. Roll on.
But let me ask you this, all right? This begs the question because okay, so we've gone from Trump, and then we've
Yeah.
gone to basketball, and the fact
Yeah.
that sports is a great way to distract yourself from all this stuff, and you've actually
Mhm.
said it's a good distraction. So you
Oh, it's
want
been
you
fantastic.
need distraction because you can't
Uh-huh.
just spend all your time. Now, lens leads to the next question, right? Next question is everyone has their nostalgia. Everyone has their version of nostalgia. Our parents, it would have been the 60s, the Beatles, Zeppelin. Where'd those bands go? It ain't like it used to be. Oh. And then they listen to the records and they go, oh, remember the good old days.
Yeah.
You watch something on Michael Jordan, it takes you back.
Yeah.
And as a result, if it feels like there is so much that exists now, especially I don't know if it happens culturally, if it happens every generation, or if it's just happening because Netflix is around. And I think I want to say that it's because streaming is now so big that they've started to make shows that are nostalgic for every person on the planet. Every generation,
Yep.
every interest is being fed content. So anyone can get nostalgia, but as a result, it distracts you from the present because you want to go and watch fucking the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or Voltron or the Michael Jordan documentary or anything that was when you were a kid, anything that was big for 10 years when you were a kid. You want to go and like, remember when life was simple? Remember when we didn't have these problems? Is there
Yeah.
anything that is happening today that is present, that is current, that draws your attention into the same level? That makes you go, oh, I can't wait for the next new thing to come. Because right now it's like, I can't wait for the next episode of the Michael Jordan thing because it takes me back. You're excited about it.
Yeah.
What's happening now that gets you that excited, that is that engaging?
Rockstar 101.
Is there
It
anything though?
sounded so
Is there
cheesy.
anything?
Well, see,
I don't
I'm
think
trying to
there
think.
is.
Well, one of the things that's really kind of affected it is the way that streaming is done because it streaming has completely changed the way that we consume content
Yeah, totally.
at this point. Because I remember like when I was a kid, you would wait and like if there was a show that you were into,
Oh
if it was
yeah,
Seinfeld or
yeah.
Friends, or for me it was like news
It was an
radio and stuff
event.
like that.
It was an
That was
event.
something.
Yeah,
It was appointment television. Like
yeah,
you had to be tuned in at 8 o'clock on Thursday to watch
yeah,
that because that's the only time it was going to air.
yeah.
After that, you were gonna have to catch a rerun. If you had a VCR, maybe you could tape it. Um, and then even like if you want to like kind of go down that route of like the Michael Jordan documentary, is that you would have sporting events, which is like still like the one thing that they're never going to be able to change in the sense that it's truly appointment television that you have to watch live.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Final,
Mm.
whatever it is, that's something that you have to consume live.
Yeah.
It's not Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead that, okay, well, I can just kind of tune it in when I want to that
Yeah.
night.
The only difference with that stuff is that if you don't watch it in time, you're left out of the water cooler conversation. That's the only drawback.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how those ones are a little bit different. So for me right now, I don't know if there's anything specifically that, well, no, I take it back, like 90 Day Fiance. It's going to sound stupid. It's going to sound cheesy,
It does.
but that's the one that I can watch with my wife and with my kid, and it's going to be on tonight because today is Sunday for us here in El Paso, and that's something that I can look forward to, that we're going to be able to sit down as a family and watch together while it's actually airing.
Right.
And even if we don't finish it, we do record it, and we'll be able to watch it later on down the road if
Right.
we want to do that as well. But for me, for the most part, I'm still powering through Sherlock on
Oh,
Netflix. That's
I
the
gotta
one
watch that.
with Benedict
Yeah.
Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
It's damn good, man. It is really good. And do you know how they do their episodes on the BBC for that Sherlock?
I've heard that they just make they make however many episodes they can that are great, and then they don't make more, so it doesn't turn to shit.
It's pretty much 3 episodes per season, with
Yeah.
each episode about the length of a movie.
Yeah.
It's about an hour and 20 to an hour and a half
Yeah. So they're
per
like films.
episode.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, man. It's so damn good. And so I'm trying to get through that. One of the other things that I was looking forward to that's going to be next on my list of things to watch is Ozark. That's the show
Yeah, I
with
want to hit
Jason
that
Bateman.
too. Yeah, I love that. I want to see that.
I got through the first 2 seasons. I'm really looking forward to season 3, but I got to get through Sherlock first.
Right.
Something that they have coming up is they're going to do a documentary on The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. It's a series. I think it's like maybe an 8-part series or so, and it's called Disney Gallery or Galleries. I can't remember which one. And it's just a behind the scenes look at the making of The Mandalorian,
Right.
which of course, when that comes up, again, that's going to be appointment. I mean, it's streaming, but it's going to be as close to appointment television as you can have,
Right,
because
right.
Disney Plus releases it where it's one episode per week. It's not Netflix. Here's a dump. Go ahead and
Here's a
stream it
dump.
as much as you can. Well,
But here's
a
the
dump
thing.
isn't like we're dumping every episode at
But does
once.
that
You know what I mean?
that goes back to the thing that I'm talking about, where like if you have you have your there is no more, you got to tune in, you've got to like, what's it called? What did you call it? It's not. It's not. It's
Appointment television.
appointment television. There's no more
Appointment.
appointment television. So the thing that you used to connect about was, oh, it's happening. We're gonna make sure dinner's ready. We're gonna be ready to watch the TV. Everyone's sitting in front of the TV at 7:30, Seinfeld or whatever your shit is. Now you can do it at whenever time you want, but the hook is, are we watching it together? Now that's been taken away because we're not together. Like maybe you can watch it with your wife and kid, but you can't like.
Well, it's
can't go
not
to the
even that.
movies.
It's also with social media. It's I don't want something ruined for me, so I need to watch it once it's available, so that I don't see a spoiler online. I think that's gotten better. I think a lot of people have changed kind of their views on posting spoilers, because it used to be bad, man. I remember just 5 years ago. I want to say it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens,
Right.
when I had somebody truly post all of the spoilers on Facebook. It was a friend of mine, and it was right before I was driving to the movie theater,
How did you, and you read it?
and as I was sitting there and just kind of flipping through social media, and the dude posted all the spoilers.
And you read them?
Well, no, I saw one and I skimmed past
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and that one ended up happening.
Yeah, yeah. And you get
Um,
pissed. Was it the one?
yeah, but for
Was it
me,
the
it's
Harrison Ford one?
Yeah,
Fuck that motherfuckers!
yeah.
I know. I was so lucky that I didn't see that one before it happened. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, we're
But
not
I
going to
think
spoil
that's
it
I
for you.
think that's one of the things that is creating more appointment television, in the sense of I need to watch this as soon as I can. Like when it comes to the morning show, we do have a set of like a timeline when it comes to when we'll actually talk about something. When Star Wars was released, the most recent one, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was right when we were heading out on vacation.
Right.
So we weren't going to be talking about it anyway.
Right.
But for movies, it's pretty much we allow 2 full weekends.
Before
So
you
if
start
it's
to talk about it.
released,
Yeah, that's the general rule now, isn't it?
yeah, so it's you give the opening weekend, and even if it's a big, like especially if it's a big movie, we know, okay, not everybody's going to be able to go see this,
Right.
because we don't like. There's people who don't want to fight the crowds, or maybe they're busy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Give them a couple of weekends
Yeah.
to see it. We won't talk about it at all. There are other shows that we do, like when I do the After Buzz, I will give people a heads up. Hey, I'm going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. I'm going to be talking about Star
Yeah.
Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Spoiler alert.
So yeah, so spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you don't want the spoilers, don't tune into this. Come back later once you've seen the movie. There was somebody, man, that just was pissed at us. This was over a month after the movie had
Oh well,
come
then
out.
fuck them. Fuck
And
them.
we said something, and this guy called, so we have a thing called the neckline, and it's basically it's a voice message you can call for the morning show. We check it, and if we like your calls, we'll play them back on the air. And this one dude called, and he was livid. How dare you ruin this for me? This is bullshit. You guys just like he spent like 2 full minutes just angry as hell. And the
Good
whole
for him.
time we were like, dude, that movie came out over a month ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how do you honestly think that we're not going to talk about this? But that's kind of the general rule. And then when it comes to Game of Thrones, which most of us were into, it was you need to watch it that night because we are going to be talking about it the following morning.
Right, right.
We would give spoiler alerts when we're going to talk about it, like, hey, if you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, go tune out now. Like,
Yeah.
come back in 10 minutes because we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if it's true television that like you need to be able to talk about,
True television.
we were going to
Game
talk
of
about it the
Thrones is
following.
true television. CNN,
Yeah.
nah, but Game of Thrones, yeah.
Well, but I mean, like appointment TV.
No, I get it. I get it.
This is
Yeah,
airing
'cause
at 8 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, you need
and then the
to.
following day. Because some of the other stuff too, it's like I know for me, some of the stuff that I look forward to is like Stranger Things. This is something that they've mastered on Netflix, and you want to go back to that nostalgia
Yeah.
aspect of it. It feels like you're watching an 80s television show
Yeah.
when you're tuning in to Stranger Things. The
Right.
way that the music is done, the style of it, everything is
Yeah.
done so well in the sense of that time,
Yeah.
that era. And it takes you back to that, which is something I think that they do very well. Another one, I don't know about this one because this was before I was born, but Mindhunter is another one that was
Oh.
brilliantly done.
Right. I've heard about
I
that.
enjoyed it, but it didn't have the nostalgia factor for me because I wasn't born yet. But I've heard people say, like, yeah, man, that's exactly how it was. The style,
Right.
the way people talked, the cars, the atmosphere, like it gives you that sense
Right.
of feeling, that nostalgic
But this is the
feeling.
thing that is bugging the shit out of me is like they're doing such a great job. They're doing such a great job and everyone loves it and I love it too. Like if I watch something that's from the fucking mid 90s and it's like everything feels like Saved by the Bell, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then what is this culture? What's now? What is it now? What's the
What do you mean?
Well, in 20 years, what are the 20-year-old people going to look back at and go, oh, that's what it was like when I was a kid? What is going to be their culture? What's going to be their thing? Because right now it's just going to be like what Beats headphones, the coolest laptop, whatever your or whatever your favorite live stream was. Like, what is the culture? They're not like, there's not some great big and pop stars and all that sort of shit and TV shows. The pop stars are forgotten much quicker than they ever were because it's just so fast.
It's instant.
It's
yeah.
instant. And TV shows are predominantly like the most popular shows are the most nostalgic shows. So it's great that there's like a whole bunch of kids that are like, oh, I like this show. They don't feel the nostalgia. They're just like, it's a very well made show, good storytelling. I like it. You're into that genre, whatever. But they're like, it's gonna cause this sort of feedback loop of culture. And like, so what's gonna be the
Well,
culture
but that's
of this
all.
generation?
I mean, that's always been a thing where
No, it
styles
isn't. No,
and
it isn't.
trends
No.
recycle.
No, because usually the culture of youth gives them something to rebel against, where the culture of the generation their predecessors shut the fuck up. The predecessors had a thing, something where you could say like, that's not Zeppelin, you should listen to real Led Zeppelin. That's not music, listen to my record collection. Now it's going to be like, yeah, let's watch Stranger Things together. That's just how it was. And the kids can't be like, nah, man, you don't understand. This is what's happening now. This is the cool shit. You're old. Like, remember when you used to be like, your parents would say like, oh,
I think you just need to wait
Something
until
to
your
re-
kids are older because that's going to happen.
I
Like
don't know.
I think you're just blind to it right now.
Maybe you're right. I just keep seeing all the nostalgia shows, and I keep seeing like, well,
Well, yeah,
what's
because that's the stuff that you're watching. That's what's targeted towards you.
So then
You know,
where
there's
you might,
there's
you know what,
specific
you're
things. Like
probably
I know
right.
for my kid watches a ton of crap that I'm like, dude, what the hell is this? Like, this looks awful. Like, there are certain things that we can get into together, like
Right.
SpongeBob SquarePants. That's
Right.
something we can always watch together.
There's
But there's other
Under the
shows that
Sea.
she watches, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, what are you watching? But then again, I stop and think about it. I'm like, this is how my parents felt.
Right.
When I was her age, my parents were thinking, oh my God, this sucks. Now I get that nostalgic feeling when I go back and watch an episode of Saved by the Bell, or when I like jump on. And I think one of the things that makes it vastly different too is you have so much access to things from back then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I can go watch an old He-Man episode
Yeah.
on YouTube. There was there was a show I had completely forgotten about, but it was on one of those YouTube channels that's called like Defunct Land,
Okay.
and it's all about like Disney theme parks or Disney television shows and stuff like that, and they kind of give you the real dirt on things. And one of them was like a weird like Dumbo's Flying Circus or something like that. And it wasn't a cartoon, it was these actual like people in outfits in these costumes, and they had like the big blinking eyes
Right.
and stuff. And it was, and I had completely forgotten this show even existed.
Right.
But when I was flipping through YouTube, I saw that pop up, and all of those memories came
Yeah, yeah,
flooding
yeah,
back,
yeah.
every single one of them.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it different too, is because we can relive that. And so, and we also, we introduce our kids to that stuff. It wasn't as easy for our parents to say, hey, this is something that I watched when I was a child, and then to share that experience with us when we were younger, because it wasn't as accessible.
Yeah.
We can do that now.
That's true.
So
That's true.
it's making it so that it's all kind of blending together, and it's speeding up that process of what is happening and what is now, because information is so easily accessible, and it does come so fast at this point that you need to be able to keep up with it. And as like I was saying, is that with trends and things like that, that's always been the cycle. Like bell bottoms were cool at one point, and then they went out of style, and then they came back into style, and then it was, you know, tight fitting jeans were out of style, and then it was big super baggy jeans, and then it came back around to tight jeans. And but like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way
yeah.
things kind of cycle, because the
Are
kids
baggy
like
jeans back yet?
oh man, I don't know, the Jenko jeans, remember those fucking things?
Yeah.
They had like pant legs that were like this fucking big.
You Keppers.
Jeez,
We used to wear Keppers. Did you have them over there, Keppers?
I don't
It
know
was a brand. It
Keppers.
was a brand of like if you had a pair of Keppers, they were fucking like airplane
Those
hanger
shit.
size. They were so fucking baggy, like you would
That's
trip.
Jenko. That
Yeah,
was, I believe that was Jenko for us.
yeah,
And they were huge.
yeah.
I never wore them that big. But that was kind of the skater kid thing
Yeah,
that got
which was
worn here.
ironic
And
because
that's,
like if you wear those pants and try to skate, they get caught and you trip and fall and fucking eat
yeah,
shit.
I never understood that.
No,
I'd
it's
always see them
just.
like
But you're
fall down. I'm
so
like, well, because you
cool.
stepped on your fucking pant
Yeah,
leg, dude. Like, what'd you expect?
yeah.
Like that thing, like if you were to fall off a cliff, you'd survive because you have two parachutes
You know
on
what's
right
funny?
now.
I remember actually that definition. Most kids do that shit. They follow the pack. And I remember we're going back to Michael Jordan now. I'm gonna do this and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, back to MJ.
So, there was on my basketball team. I was in the Chicago Bulls. They had like they named all the teams in our league off the NBA teams, right? And I
Yep,
was in the
yeah, yeah,
Bulls, and everyone wanted to be 23. Everyone wanted to
of
be
course.
23 from Chicago Bulls. And there was one kid that got it. I was like, I want to be 23. Everyone wanted to be 23. There was one kid that didn't, and
Did you at least get 33?
no, I didn't. I don't remember what my number was, but I remember there was one kid that picked. Like I can't remember what the number was, 7 or 11 or something like that, and he picked a different number. And I asked this kid. He was an Indian kid who spoke. He'd been raised here. I don't know. It's not relevant. It's just that you remember these weird details, right? You
Yeah,
remember, like
yeah,
you
yeah.
remember, and it was because. And I was fucking 11. So this concept had never come into my brain before. It was the first time that this concept had come into my brain because I asked this kid who was this skinny Indian, really nondescript. You would never think that this kid is the sort of kid that would like take this stance. And I was like, you didn't try to get 23, the Jordan number. And he was like, no. I said, why? He said, because that's not my number. And it's his number. And I said, so is like 7 meaningful to you or something? Like, is that a special? He said, no, I just picked, that was available. I said, well, what's the fuck? Why go with 7? And he said, because now I can make this my number. And I
Making
was
his
like,
own as
yeah.
opposed to taking somebody
And
else's.
I just was like, I mean, I'm 11, right? And this other 11,
Yeah.
it wasn't something that like a parent told me. This 11-year-old kid was like, no, I don't care. I mean, I know who Michael Jordan is, but I'm not going to follow his footsteps. I'm going to make my own path. It doesn't matter what
Smart
number it
kid.
is. I'm going to pick a number and I'm going to give that relevance by my actions. I'm going to do things that make, like, if I'm the best player on this team, people will know me and my number and they will become synonymous with the best player on the team. And I was just like this. I remember thinking like, I want to have that mentality to everything that I do. And after that, after that, I kind of did. I was like, well, it's nice to have, but it was true. It was like, and the funny thing is that on the next week's game, when there was a kid who had 23 on his jersey. The rest of our
Yeah.
team was really jealous up until the game started. And then the other team came on the fucking field, whatever you call it, the game,
court.
the court, fuck off. And they came on the court, and every kid on the other team was like, "You think you're Jordan? You're fucking shit. You're not fucking Jordan. You suck. Jordan's
Yep.
fucking, you can't touch Jordan." And this kid regretted it immediately. And I remember looking over at the other kid and being like, I get it. Because no one was fucking with him. And
Dude, if you were on the Bulls
Yeah.
and you were number 23, you'd better be fucking good.
Yeah. And this kid wasn't. He was just ordinary. And like, it really hit home. Was like, do not try to follow other people's, like, use their inspiration, but do not follow their footsteps because it's been done.
Yeah.
You got to forge your own path. And the funny thing is, I never remembered this kid after that. I don't remember his name. I remember what he looked like, but I don't remember his name. And I don't know. I'm sure he went on to do something at least reasonably successful because this kid was switched the fuck on at 11 to have that mentality and he didn't have any ego on it. He was just like that sort of straightforward, humble,
This is
focused.
now my number.
Yeah, this is focused as a
I don't want his
motherfucker.
number.
Yeah.
I want my number.
Yeah, he was really straightforward. Like, to be that humble and focused and switched on at 11, I was like, shit, I got a lot of work to do. Anyway, that being said, we got to wrap it up. We've gone over, but it was awesome. And anyway, Brandon, you want to do the fucking drops? Because I always forget them.
Yeah, so if you want to hit up Shim, you can find him over. This was obviously, if you're watching this on his Facebook page, you can always send him a message there. We also have Shim on Twitter. It is at Shimmore, SHIMMOORE. You can find me over on Instagram. It is at TheRealBrandLorian. You can always drop me a line if you would like there as well. And if you're listening to this podcast, because these are being uploaded still, and you want to watch the actual video of it, you can always head on over to Shim's Facebook page if you'd like to check that out. Send us questions, topics, anything that you'd like discussed, especially if it's about The Last Dance and Michael Jordan, because I'm really looking forward to that.
We'll talk about that
Parts
next
3.
week. I just started playing some jazz music while you were fucking talking out, and then an ad came on YouTube and talked over you for a second. Like,
oh, nice.
Are you suffering from hemorrhoids? Off. Anyway, his name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He's the rock star. Class dismissed.